Hello and welcome back to the Loss Control channel. My name is Greg Manuel. I'm the Loss Control Manager for the WICSIT and ISDA risk management programs your district participates in. I appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to talk to you for a few minutes on some special precautions that we'd like you to recognize during the upcoming winter months. Today I have four important points that I would like to cover, and those are discussing briefly winter entryway maintenance, the importance of it, we all know, secondary and emergency egress points, wet floor hazard warnings, and lastly, clearing of fire hydrants, marking their location and being sure that they're available if needed in case of a fire emergency. Schools present unique challenges. They're high traffic for sure. Many communities see the highest volume of people throughout the day coming through their doors of any business or institution in the community. That's complicated by multiple points of entry, each needing maintenance. Combine that with, it is Illinois, so we're going to have quickly changing conditions in a good portion of the winter. And the fact that it's a public school does mean that there's a high level of care that is expected and required for the school. Safety has to be our number one priority, and preventing slip and fall accidents is really a full-time responsibility. Right before the opening bell in the morning, there's going to be hundreds through the door in a very short period of time. Each person brings in their own small amount of wet winter muck, snow, ice, what have you, and that has to be dealt with in an effective manner. How do we deal with it? Well, there are several techniques, primarily indoor mats. Each primary entrance should have water-absorbing mats placed at least 4 feet, if not further, inside the entryway. Your primary entryways receive the most traffic. They're going to need constant maintenance, particularly during high traffic periods. You have to make sure they're maintaining a safe and dry condition, but what's even more important here, these mats can tend to curl with high traffic. Be sure that they haven't been curled up, moved into the door jamb, or curled underneath the door to prevent the door from closing. Likewise with salt and other snow melt products, be sure they don't impede the closing of the door. The door has to close and lock securely, unaided by a pull from a human. It has to be a self-closing and self-locking door. The maintenance is important on the floor. It's also equally important to be sure the door comes to a complete locked close. One of the best tips I can give you is be sure that you have the appropriate tools and ice melt products available at each point of entryway. Really important, because if it's there, it's available to be used. Salt melt in particular can be easily applied by anyone. Also consider after school hours, when you have after school hour events, sports events, whatever may be occurring, might not have full building staff available to take care of these things. So if it does need it, good chance that someone would pick up a snow shovel and clear a path or put some salt down if it was needed, if it's by the door and available for use. Highly recommend that you have this here and ready to go for anyone to apply if it's needed. Water absorbing non-slip rugs and mats are really important, but be careful. Decorative rugs are not suitable for this purpose. Really, items that come in from home or intended for home use really don't belong in the schools, and they almost never have slip resistant backing. They don't meet fire retardant standards, and as we can see, they're both actually already have curled edges on them. They should be discarded and shouldn't be allowed in the school. Wet floor signage and slick area warnings are very important. Please have them ready and available to be deployed when needed. They're really important for people that may not come to the school. We all have seen areas that are prone to becoming wet and we can't keep them mopped up fast enough. They should have wet floor signage in place. And that's important for the people that might not recognize that area is normally wet because it just has a high amount of traffic during a period of time. Be sure that's available. Also should be available in case there's spills or wet spots that develop through the day in any part of the school so they can be quickly deployed. Secondary entryways and fire escape routes, often they're the same thing, need to pay attention to these. They have to have the same level of care as your primary entrances. Problems that we see with secondary entrances and fire escape routes is oftentimes they're used to store things in, particularly exits outside of gymnasiums or multi-purpose rooms. In this case, we see we've got some cushions and mats that have been placed here for storage. The right-hand example, we've got an entryway to a gymnasium that has no matting in place at all. This is actually a piece of hard rubber athletic mat laying there. It serves no purpose other than to possibly present a trip hazard. This area should be fully matted and should be regularly checked for water intrusion to be sure the floor surface is safe. The left-hand side, we see an area where they've made some attempts to keep it clear, but it should probably be salted and probably cleaned off one more time because we still have visible snow and ice here, definitely lending itself to a trip and fall hazard. Over the years, I've made many visits to Illinois public schools, and all too frequently I encounter emergency exits that are blocked by snow. This is an important issue to point out. These areas must be maintained as clear. The example we have on the right is completely impassable in the event of an emergency, yet they've taken the steps to label it as an emergency exit. And the one on the left, you might be able to get the door open, but you're probably going to have a number of slip and falls that are going to occur on the snow-covered stairs coming down. The doorways for emergency exits must be kept clear of snow at all times. One of the additional problems that you have with not clearing snow from emergency exits, if the door is partially opened and it pushes the snow out of the way, that snow can freeze into a hard frozen ice dam and prevent the door from opening at all. They're difficult to clear. Be sure to pay attention to emergency exits after every snowfall. Please remember, any exit from the building, if it is not cleared of snow and ice, is considered an obstructed exit. That applies for all fire codes and school codes. Please pay extra attention to these through the winter months. My final point, please, as a favor to our first responders and as a necessary part of fire prevention, keep snow cleared from fire hydrants. Fire hydrants need to have their locations clearly identified when they're visible after snowfall, and they need to be kept clear for a distance of 5 feet away from them on all sides. Thanks for tuning in to the Loss Control channel today. I really appreciate your attention to the topic, and I would love to hear from you. If you have comments for me, feel free to reach out to me at this email address or leave your comments on the YouTube channel. Also, we'd love it if you'd subscribe to the channel for further releases. Thanks a lot, and stay safe out there.